Namaste and good evening. Our distinguished speakers, Geshe, Jamyang, Tashi, and Mr. Konchok Gyaltsen, popularly known as KG Sir, the translator Sonam, our moderator Tarana Patel Chatterjee, Mr. and Mrs. Mahendra Bhai and Rajesh Bhai, who are part of the sponsors of this activity center. On behalf of AMA, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this unique program, Purpose-Driven Management, connecting with your SQ, that's Spiritual Quotient, to be delivered by both these distinguished scholars from Ladakh and to be moderated by Tarana Patel Chatterjee under the auspices of the Mamata AMA Center for Indian Wisdom in Management. This center, activity center, is one of the oldest in AMA. We have over 50 virtual activity centers, and this particular center started, even before this building. That's 3 decades ago when we were in Navaranpura, and sponsored by Mahendra Bhai Patel, the chairman of the Mamata Group of companies. Way back in the 70s and 80s also, AMA had held programs or initiated programs on Indian wisdom and management, because it realized that management is not about managing businesses or organizations. Management starts from self-management. And our own ancient Indian scriptures, in our own, there are jewels, diamonds in our own backyard. So this thought process has been going very on. And in that process, because we were doing that activity, it was very generous of Mahendra Bhai and Mamata Group to set up this activity center. And as many of you know, over the years, under this center, we have had a lot of activities for Indian wisdom. There are spiritual talks, lectures delivered by very distinguished and learned leaders from different spiritual organizations from India as well as abroad. And we had this typical Indian wisdom weeks for the whole week. Every year we had 25 of them. And during that time, the halls were full, and we used to had projections in the different classrooms also. So that attracted people from all walks of life. We had people right from students and college students, housewives, businessmen, entrepreneurs, and so on, professionals. So, it makes sense that this Indian wisdom and management is really connecting the dots to our personal life and working life. Anyway, that's about the center. And Tarana, Mahendra Bhai's daughter, her interest in this line, and she will be moderating today's session, and she has initiated this. So she will be introducing the speakers, but I'll give a brief introduction about Tarana. She is known for her human-centered approach to life, but especially in learning and facilitation. Her rich professional journey spans 4 continents, living in Germany, China, and USA, and presenting her research and teaching experiences across the world. She has a bachelor's degree in management and international economics and a master's in educational linguistics and learning technology. Tarana worked for a decade as the academic head of the International Education University of California across 2 campuses. And in 2003, she lived in China as the founding director of University of California's English Center in Beijing. Tarana later on founded LearnAd, her own company, to expand her work in English language and communication. She has sessions in AMA before while she was traveling to India. So nice to have you, Tarana. And she has keen interest in the Buddhist philosophy and its ideas, and of course she'll tell you more about her Ladakh Connect. And before I hand over to Tarana, I'll welcome both the distinguished speakers with flowers and memento. I will request our past president, Mr. Rajiv Bhai Mehta, to welcome Sonam, our translator, and Tarana, please. Uh, I hand over rest of the proceedings to Tarana. Thank you all. Okay, please, one more. Yeah, I missed out, but Rajesh Bhai has come from Bombay on behalf of Mahendra Bhai, so it's our duty to also welcome him, please.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. In fact, this month has been very special for me personally because we're celebrating my mother's 70th birthday milestone and my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. So, and many of us have gathered here as friends and family, including Geshe, KG sir, and Sonam here from Ladakh, to bless us for this. And from that came the idea that we should share our journey, our experience, and our stories with a larger audience. And what better place than to do this at AMA? So that's what brings us here today. I'm also in my old stomping ground after a long time. Since I was a graduate student in the early 2000s, I've been here, coming here to offer different programs, whether it was about technology for teachers or business English communication, or to talk about my love for travels and what I learned from it. But today, I feel that the few years that have passed by have been so important and telling in my life in a way of a deep personal transformation that I feel like I'm a new person standing here in front of all of you today through the journey I have taken within myself in the last few years. And so it feels different and new in a very beautiful way. I've found many mentors and teachers through my last few years of working and living in India more. I've been based out of LA for most of my life. And also friends and family, my mother-in-law and my mother who are here, my husband who is here. We've all been on a very interesting journey of caring for each other, losing family members, gaining new ones. All my well-wishers and friends who are here too have supported me through it. But most importantly, out of nowhere, because I called for a purpose-led life and profession within myself and in my prayers, I found mentors. Right? And they came from very surprising and strange places. And some were very quietly supporting me, and some were really taking me through to show me new directions. And many of them are here today, so I thank you all for being here. Yeah, all of you who are here as my mentors and friends. Thank you. I want to quickly just tell you, so this is why we're here. We are sharing stories, and we're going to talk about some teachings that have been very important to me as well in my own journey of connecting what I really feel as my purpose with my work. And these two are not separate. So coming to that understanding that work, daily work, and livelihood are not separate from your own personal wants and desires, right? So I'll tell you the quick little story of how I was drawn to Ladakh. And I think that will give you a sense of some of the ideas that I just mentioned in my own personal journey. Few years ago, after my career in the UC system in the US, I came to India to start something that I wanted to call my own. So I started a startup by creating an app for business English communication. And because it was a tech-based app, one gets categorized into a tech entrepreneur identity. Right? And so I was given that identity by the world and told that now you have to scale this business, you have to make sure this app goes places, and you have to make sure that you do such solid marketing that no matter what, the scale happens. Because that's what apps are supposed to do. So I set out to do that, and I woke up every day with a lot of determination and went out to do that. And as I kept doing it more and more and more, I felt like a little bit of my soul would shed. It just wasn't working. And it came to a point where COVID hit, and sometimes, just determination and hard work gets you some success. So that some bit of success was there, but it felt like it was too much work for too little success, in my understanding. So that's what my heart told me. And so COVID hit, and the little success that I was seeing in the horizon got dissolved as well. And that was not something that I had control over, but all of us, and if there are entrepreneurs sitting in this audience, you may connect to that. So as a new single entrepreneur who was set out to sell this app for improving communication in people's lives, this was a big challenge. And I had to do what sometimes it takes us a lot to do, is to say no. Yes is very easy, but no is a challenge. Yeah. And so during that time, I had my biggest mentor, my father, and many other mentors who came along the way to help me through it. And that's when I realized that once I said no, so many magical things started happening. And I started seeing what is it that I'm really called to do, right? And it was, despite the losses, despite the damages done in terms of tangible things, but when I really, really understood that this no has given me a new horizon to look out into, it was just a very beautiful discovery. And as that started happening, I met Rajesh Bhai, who is a tech entrepreneur out of Mumbai. And the funny thing was, my dad said, please talk to him. And I said, no, I don't want to talk to yet another tech entrepreneur. I literally said that. Who will ask me 100 questions about my app and then show me all the flaws in it? I'm done. I don't want that. And Dad pushed me, saying, "Ew, nathi yaar, jara baat to kar." And so I got on a Zoom call with him the morning of the day I was leaving to go back to Los Angeles last September, here for a short visit. And the rest is all the blessings you will receive today. So I ended up in Ladakh because Rajesh Bhai has been working to answer his inner calling and purpose for the children and the environment in Ladakh for many years. And I joined his inspiration, connected with his ideas, and on that day, I changed my flight to LA and called my husband. He said, of course, you're in India, what are you doing? Go to Ladakh. And I ended up in Ladakh overnight. And so I've been going back since. We have done a few projects as pilots, and we've also understood how modern ideas can be inspired and connected with ancient teachings. So at this point, I have a lot to say and a lot to share, and if you have questions, please talk to me later, and maybe we'll do other programs to share more. But I want to invite my colleague Nipa, who's here, please, who is part of our team here. And she is also the actual driver of some programs we've done here. So as I shared my story, you'll hear a little bit from Nipa ma'am. Please come, thank you. And just hear about how purpose-driven, decisions can come, right? So please, Nipa, thank you.
Thank you, Tarana. Tarana has already warned me just a little bit, so please remind me when that little bit is over. Well, To find real Nipa, I had to continuously work on myself for more than 20 years career-wise. Basically, I am a qualified dental surgeon practicing dentistry. From then onwards, I became an administrator in an educational institute and then in a bigger high school. And then onwards, I move on to become an English teacher, got some degrees and certificates from University of Cambridge, the mecca for any English learner and lover. And then again became an examiner and trainer and all that. Still, my friends, I was happy, as Tarana mentioned, that it was a little bit of success as compared to the work I had put in. The real purpose came to me when I joined Gujarat government funded and Swayam Foundation led project which encompassed 5 tribal areas of Gujarat, including Panchmahal, Mahisagar and Dahod, where I worked as a teacher, mentor and project head with more than 5,000 students, tribal children, all of them, and more than almost 100 to 150 teachers who were teaching English there. I went to every nook and corner of the areas I mentioned just now, talked to them, really had, some soul-to-soul conversation, I would call them. Off the record conversation, and I ended up developing, kind of program for them. And we delivered that and we got some amazing result with teachers and with children. And children who had some, 10% or 20% results as far as their English subject mark sheets were concerned, those schools started topping. And in fact, there were a couple of schools where their students in 10th standard, they got more than 80% in English. So that was something which gave me a purpose. Because I knew it is impossible for any good teacher or mentor to reach 5,000, 10,000 or 5 lakh students. But if I reach out to teachers, through them, I can reach to millions of students. And that's how that idea was it was taking a great shape in my mind. I was very clear, this is my purpose. This is how my life would, be spent for the rest of the time I'm here. And that's when I met with charismatic Rajesh Bhai. It was again quite, I would call it a divine intervention. Meeting with Rajesh Bhai, meeting with Tarana, meeting with people, these beautiful people in Ladakh, it was all divine intervention and our thought processes aligned so well. And as a result, I would just like to sum up that now Golden Mile Learning, an NGO headed by Rajesh Bhai and supported by Tarana and many other people like her, is launching its first phase of English teacher training in Ladakh, which would encompass more than 600 teachers. And it is starting from next month. I thank Almighty and all of these beautiful people who have helped me lead a purposeful life. First of all, help me find my purpose, and I'm so much enjoying it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So Dr. Nipa is, as you heard, a dental surgeon, and I'm just so blessed to have met her because this is another answer in that quest of calling to really come to what really matters in our work, right? So I want to just add that, we work for many different things. We work to earn a living, we work to support our family, we work for comfort, we work for ambition, we work for maybe innovation, and all these are right reasons and there are drivers. But often we sort of confuse them with purpose. Your purpose is what wakes you up every morning and makes you look young, dynamic. Take care of yourself as well. Like I see my 2 mentors here who work all the time, but they are healthy and always in great spirits. So it is that energy that fuels your purpose, and it doesn't make you tired or unhealthy, ever. Right? So there is that connection that I invite you all to explore through Geshe-la's teachings today, and through the insights we will get at the end from Rajesh Bhai and Mahendra Bhai, my father. Because they were saying, do we really need to be here? I said, oh yes, because you are going to pull spiritual quotient into emotional quotient and the work that you do through it. And they really embody that, at least in my view of the world. So with that, I'll introduce Geshe Jamyang Tashi, who I met last year, and we've been connected, and who I feel very blessed by every time I'm in his presence, who has become not only a teacher, but a dear friend and a mentor, and we laugh and play, and as you see, chase yaks, and also talk about the things that really matter to us. Geshe Tashi holds a doctorate in Buddhist philosophy from Serajay Monastic University in South India. He is one of the most qualified Tibetan Buddhist scholars that we can find in India today. He has a doctorate from Gyuto Tantric College in Sidbari, Dharamshala, and he was awarded the Larampa Geshe title with the highest honor from Serajay Monastic University. His humility always throws me off, I have to say that. He's so humble. I never understand how can one have such great humility. At present, he's a director of Thiksey Serap Skudstal Ling Library, where I have visited and stayed, and the Learning Center. It is famous for its world-class Buddhist educational resources in almost every language of all the Buddhist countries. On my first trip, my mother accompanied me, and you may find some photos right there, where we are in the library and being given a tour by Geshe-la through the library. It's just so amazing. I could just live there for most of my life. Geshe also imparts teachings in secular ethics, and he has taught Buddhist philosophy in many countries such as India, Vietnam, Malaysia, France, Thailand, and Australia. He also held key positions like disciplinarian for the Kala Chakra event under His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Ladakh, as an education officer of Serajay Monastic University, and senior secondary board examination committee in Karnataka for Buddhist studies. He was honored with an award by the All Ladakh Student Association for his dedicated service and teachings, and currently he also heads the Sabu Village Youth Hostel Project, which is very passionate to him. And if any one of you would like to get involved with activities in Ladakh, it's a good thing to ask Geshe about this Sabu Youth Hostel Project. So with that, I welcome Geshe-la. Thank you. Thank you. Today, Geshe-la will be giving you teachings in, we were talking about what takes us to purpose-led management of self and of our work, whether it is business, jobs, or things you do at home. It doesn't matter. And we came to some clarity as a group through Rajesh Bhai's insights, Geshe's points, that it starts with interdependence and understanding that through the lens of Buddha's teaching. It involves working in adversity. It involves resilience, and it involves understanding what purpose-led actually means. And so Geshe-la is going to talk about these 4 points, and the teachings you will receive today that he will transmit to us, hopefully, by the end of the session, will include these 4 topics. Yeah. I'd also like to introduce KG sir. He's called KG sir. He has a full name, but I call him KG sir. So that's his best identity, because he's an educator par excellence. I went to the mountains. I've been to the biggest teaching conferences in the world, on every continent, and presented and co-taught and been an audience. But when I met KG sir and saw his zest and spirit, it is unsurpassable. He works for children in the highest altitudes of Ladakh. He was ordained as a monk 13 years ago, at 13 years of age, and completed a Acharya degree at Central Institute of Buddhist Studies in Ladakh, in Leh. He's completely committed to his life on 3 E's: education, environment, and economics. And he works relentlessly in all these 3 areas. We have hours and hours of conversations that when he starts talking, I just want to keep listening because there are so many pearls of wisdom. He teaches at Shashukul Monastery, and he has been teaching there for more than 10 years. He's an environmentalist under the guidance of His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche, who is the highest monk in Ladakh. And he supports Rajesh ji, and of course you said me, and I feel greatly supported by him through his work. Although ordained but fully committed to uplift the remote Changthang region of Ladakh economically, and he lives and breathes that. So thank you, KG sir, for being here. Finally, last but not least, this person here has inspired me and moved me greatly, Sonam, since I met you. He was the first Ladakhi I met when we landed in Ladakh, Mom and I, on that overnight change of plans trip in last September. He picked us up from the airport very promptly, and I found out that he's a civil engineer, a very dynamic young Ladakhi working for the landscape and for the next generation. He has also worked with Sonam Wangchuk's organization. You may know the movie Three Idiots, after whom Amir Khan's character was based. And now he's he's been keenly interested in Buddhist philosophy, and now he stays very close to Geshe as his student, his apprentice, and his support and translator. He has a B.Tech from National Institute of Technology in Kurukshetra. So he's an engineer as well, and his passion lies in civil engineering. And we've had many great conversations about how he connects living in this world and earning a living with his teachings that he receives from Geshe. Thank you for translating today, Sonam, and for being here. Yeah. With this, we will begin. Quickly, as a personal message also, I want to welcome Rajesh Bhai from Mumbai. He is the head of PowerWeave Technologies based out of Mumbai. I got to know him only a year ago, but I feel like our connection goes janmo janam, back and forth. And my father, my mentor, my roof, as I call him, is here too. And many of you may have known about him. His introduction would take a long time, so I will just introduce him as my papa. He's here. Thank you. He's been a president here, and because of him, I'm involved here. So that is the connection. Without further ado, we will begin with the teachings. Please turn off your devices. I hope you've enjoyed some photos from our trips and our work. Recently, we had a very large tree plantation drive in June, where a lot of these team members were planting trees with our bare hands at 18,000 feet, right under Trishul Mountain on the border of China. It was fabulous, and it was really and soul, quenching. It was a beautiful experience, and if you want to join any of these activities and efforts, please reach out, please talk to me. We'd love it. Yeah. Okay. Geshe, Jule, and we will start. Okay. So you can sit up there. It's okay. And Sonam, this is for you. Both of you would like to relax. Yeah. You can leave it on this.
Hello.
July, during the Tarana Gute, Tenangia Sama judges la, there is something ne Gabotang Samala in July.
Hello everyone. Jule to all of you present here. Jule is greetings in our language, in Ladakhi language. So Geshe is overwhelmed and overjoyed to be here through Tarana ji, through Rajesh ji. He is very honored and overjoyed, overwhelmed to have you all here in the presence of all of you and to speak a few of his experience and to share his ideas in front of you. So he is very overwhelmed.
다 드링 아당 상마 독체스 보아 촉진이 야나 건조고 징라빈도 야나 카르마 징엔도 야나 건신 아당한다 템제 상보지 토네 아당 상마 투스 보당 대웅의 세미나 소 식주문 중
So whatever the reason it may to be all together under one roof, to be able, Geshe-la, to be able to meet all of you to meet us, whatever the reason it may be, be it the God grace or any karmic connection, but Geshe-la has a very special feeling had aroused in him, so he is overwhelmed to have you all here.
테네 지당네 미지당지 자렐 중제다 레와 중제고 아니 다 미세지 너무 지게 그때 가단지로 소마자 드린 이제 상마 독제다 믹설기 독제 시에당 주서 상마 독제다 맡아도요.
In our day-to-day life in this conventional world per se, we develop a relationship through many means. It's hierarchical, it's friends through friends, by business partnership, but having you all here through Taranaji, through this event is a special, and I have a very special feeling about it, and I'm overjoyed. Geshe-la has been emphasizing he's overjoyed and overwhelmed to have you all here.
당에 주지 도 마셔를 몰라 되는 교랑우나 당문하나 템베다 고투바 상게 좀내 초도 풀데 되는 주지 도 그냥으로
Before moving on to the points or the main topic that he has to share his views on, he will recite a few words to offer Buddha and Bodhisattva. So he will recite a few words for that.
강기 투진 유소네 따와 탐지 방배실 담배 춘이 던제베 고담들로 찾자 곰기나래 테네타 tombola tojagundu song tone tene sangada gomse skepje yin sala ta gom gyapjes na tene chu shu kyaz na ngata gom gyapjes zo semna hala semgi kangal sama sebde sem dewa dupjes tablam chino ta te thamlam bo tene lus gi dukdang kham go chu kyaz pena ngata supo ketrang kamba durji ki dung chu hala kadesh ki dung chu duk mathumna hab ki dung chu na dia no spetra tion chu hala tene ketba dadar sama getba odene khatra chance ko sono sala ane go choose kende madua tsiki badu ko sono sala tene ra gom gyapsane cheu kedan kenla jibda bo sono tene rang mik bu kerterang pe hajang bese mi borche hajang zum se mi borche rang ge nakun se thongche jokse bo sono sala tene sodang khapchu tene hajang zum de mi borche hajang sem bese mi borche sala tateu re tene gyunsan re yo sala pe na ngata केबा दादा सांवा केबा खटा सांला चिट केबना माता लुगी चलुङ साइ लुङ दा नंगलो लुङ थमा तांबो युथु बनो तेने ngata gombu gyala युथु बया सला तेने गो चुजे हाचां मिको हाचां पेसे बोना ngata लो छिउर यंग सया सला हाचां चुमदे बोना यांसम तेका मिगे का सोंते ngata या कोन nga सम का का बरगो जे ते नेथु बनो सला सोमोदां तेने ते पे तेने रांबाब सो रां नगु से थोंचे जोसे बरो सला तेने 카왕양 하장 빼서 보라니 곰 겹산 되는 부죽대 두치대 가다 강화 통하고 살아 되네 지우 깨나 저때 마보나 되네 소 저기 깨나 기우 째나 버때 마보나 되네 가다 곰 겹산 카주자고요 살아 소마상 되네 때는 좋아 카데 하장 쯤세 보나 양태가 셈 차지상 하장 빼서 보나 강할 지가라 소마상 되네 좋아 되네 락바니스테 야바 예메카도 요마 보드랑 이룩제 대외 삼소 대외 삼소 야 살아 대외 삼보도 육조지당 랑신기 개발다다 상투와 살아 대량하다 지지가 셈 컨센트레이트 보나 그거 네트워크 스테지 네트워크 소마상 드링하다 공부케당다 둔두 춘지 미네 나치 게나 까마 찍기 시간다 공 capture then so to 검제고 getting
After reciting the praise to the Gautama Buddha, for auspiciousness sake and for the sake to all to be aware of what's going here today, to be present, to be presented, to be mindful at this event, he will initiate or teach us about some basic about meditation. So for that meditation, the whole purpose is physiological impact to have in our through our physiological, through our psychological impacts that it has. So the main important idea is to physiologically we are getting to our mind to be mindful, to be present, in any activity that you be doing in your day-to-day life. So today, just to channelize you all, just to be mindful, and for the auspiciousness sake, he is teaching us about meditation. But before that, he talked about the technicalities it involves in meditation. For example, the stature or the position it involves, all the position that he has said. He taught us is an ideal position. No one is ever mandatorily is required to do. But if you are able to do it in that manner, you can be able to do for a longer period of time. So that is the ideal position. For example, you are seated in a cross-legged position. The ideal position is cross-legged. If you are not comfortable, if you feel you are rigid, you are not complied to, you are not required to do that. But your main objective is to be relax your body. Body should be very free. It's not should be forced. The meditation should not be forced in any sort of way. But the most ideal way is to sit cross-legged. If it's problematic for you, you could do it in a half cross-leg. Or even if you're not comfortable with a half cross leg, you could be sitting in a chair or on the couch or anything. You could do meditation because main primary motive is to channelize our mind, not our body. We are just trying to control our body to be more mindful, to be more focused. So the basic first position is just sitting cross-legged, and keeping our back straight, and putting our right hand on top of the left hand, and our thumb should be connecting and put in the navel, on the navel, which automatically strengthen our back. And our both thumb should connect so that energy flows throughout the body, and our head should be slightly tilted towards the ground, just being humble. We are not being pride. We are not feeling proud or being very greedy. We cannot think like that. We are practicing mindful meditation just to focus on to be present, to be mindful, to be aware on the current point of time. So just tilt your head a little bit, and your eyes should not be closed entirely. Your eyes should not entirely be open, because when you open your eyes entirely, it could be subjected to more sort of distractions. So when you completely shut your eyes, you could be fall asleep or feel lazy. So 45-degree of eye should be closed. You should either look on the tip of the nose. That is the ideal position. Okay, you can meditate in any position you like, but ideal position is that through this way you could last longer period of meditation, and your mouth should not closely shut. Neither it should be wide open, so the mosquito, maybe any flies could walk in out. Your tongue should touch the upper palate of your mouth, which stops this saliva. You cannot be running out of saliva while you are meditating. So your tongue, if you engage your tongue to the upper palate, it will stop the saliva. So you can also meditate longer period of time. So that is the position or the technicalities involves in meditation, but what inside what to meditate on, it will Geshe-la will teach us later.
Tashi dang tene gom zika ma ting sa buji no sala. Ting sa buji mena cha. Ma ting sa buji no sala. Somba sang gom bo tene che gom dang jogom ni shu tias. Jogom zika de sem migden chi den do sem che chi mayen sa gom jis bo jogom sara no. Che gom zene sengi cheba che de yu gi rangjin le cheba che de gom che shi no sala. Somba sang ta gom gi ting sa buji no ta sang ta e tu zu dang se mi kyak tan dringa ta gom bu chi gyap chi no na ngata su ji na duwa mi su ji na yang dewa dokan dungal min da tan siang no sombatang dewa doji se pia ngata chi se mo na chamba da ni je ko mo se kya ta dringa ngata gom je bo ti ji mine sum ji ri ngata chamba da ni je ko men sala sombatang chamba za kam ko shi se na rang le jembe duwa mi gun dewa tan ten du ki samba ji chi no chamba se no rang le jembe mi gun tene dungal la dandu ki sewa ji ninje se no tizuki ngata tuksamdo yang yang do salana rang jan la phanto luche dang rang chawa chi chi chuna ya jeng jendung chu tang tu ji du su yong tu ba no somaja diringa da jamba da sewa de mine ni sum ji ngata gom ji sense.
So in our tradition, the meditation has two kind of meditation. First, a meditation is one-pointed meditation where our mind is focused on one point. For example, the Anapana meditation where we focus on our breath. So this is a one-pointed meditation, single-pointed meditation, or it can be in Sanskrit it's called a shamatha meditation. And another kind is the analytical meditation where you are not just focusing on one point or one thing, but you are actually analyzing things. How good? How is this bad? How is this? You are just analyzing whole idea of meditation, whole idea of your philosophy. You could be analyzing on anything. This is this other type of meditation. So today we will be meditating on loving and kindness. Love in what Geshe-la has defined as love is as we all human beings, we all have same aspirations. We all want to have a happy life. We all aspire for happiness. So that is a very basic common that we all have. Besides all the commonalities that we share, this is one of the most profound common between any human beings in this earth. We all aspire to be very happy. We all aspire not just a short-term happiness, but a long-term. The happiness which could be last for a longer period of time. So on that basis, we should generate love for other sentient beings, that this other person also aspire the same as we aspire. I aspire for happiness. This other person also aspire for the same. So that is love that you develop for other person, because he has the same aspiration, even though he has different means, he has different ideas to get to achieve that happiness. So but ultimately that person also aspire to be happy. So you should come on the same ground and be lovingly accept the other person. And other point to be meditated on is kindness. As we all aspire for happiness, but we are all subjected to suffering, some sort of suffering, because we are in samsara. We are in this world in which we are subjected to any sort of suffering of sickness, suffering of death, suffering of aging. We are all subjected to that suffering, even though we are live in a privileged home or even the slums. Not to mention that they are suffering. They are subjected to so much suffering. But this basic suffering that we all have, sickness of aging, sickness and death, even the birth is a form of suffering. We cried when we are born. So on that basis, we all are subjected to suffering. The other person also has suffering during his life on this earth. We should develop kindness. We should develop compassion towards them. So loving and compassion, or to say kindness, is to be meditated on today's program. We will do for 2 minutes. We'll be meditated while we sit it's just like here. So our meditation would be analytical meditation, where we are focusing that every sentient beings, every human beings, sentient beings, every animal should be should achieve the happiness they aspire and be free from the suffering. We all pray like that, and we all have such aspiration while we meditate. So this would be an analytical meditation for 2 minutes. Thank you, everyone. So today Geshe will talk about these few points that he had he'll be speaking about in today's session. First point would be the interdependent, that we are all connected and somehow we are all dependent on one another. It's not something something very separate from one another. We are all, every sentient beings, every living beings, every human beings, we are all somehow connected. So interdependence he will be talking about. And the second point would be the adversaries that we face in our life, to acknowledge them and somehow and to embrace the adversities, the problems that your life, not to run away, just to embrace them, acknowledge them, just like we are acknowledge our suffering of sickness and aging and death. We are embracing our adversaries, and to be very relaxedly we are looking for solutions. So that would be another point. And other point would be being resilient. Even though you have so much of challenges, so much of misunderstanding, you're not able to reach out other person. You have so much challenges, but you're resilient that this challenges makes me more stronger. It gives me more courage. So resilient, being more resilient is other topic, other point he'd be talking about. And the lastly, purpose-driven management or sort, or the intentions that one initiate, one has to have when they initiate some sort of some sort of ventures or some sort of management startups, entrepreneurial journey, the intention, the significance of purpose-driven intentions. So he'll be talking on these few basic 4 points.
땅가당 드로미 사마 대화 돕간 야 동갈 미도 짱네 살아 대화 돕발라 대화 규주 주 상고서노 동갈 도 고사메나 동갈 보가주 셀 고제스테 타블로 뭔가 켄고서노.
So as we said, we are all human beings. We aspire one same thing. We aspire to be happy, to have a long-lasting happy, not a short-term happy that vanish in the evening, and it comes when we have a very beautiful lunch. That's a very short-term happiness, but we aspire for a long-term happiness. We should aspire for a longer happiness that lasts long, and we all wanted to get rid of sufferings. We don't want suffering anymore in our lives. So that on that basis, we are all same. We are all have the same aspiration. So to have this, to be able to meet this aspiration, we have to look for its causes. If you are looking for ultimate happiness, we should look for it. The cause that would be able to manifest that happiness. And we should also look for the cause that is causing us trouble, causing us suffering. So realizing this cause is another important aspect to look at this.
땅가당 이나 유탈 미 상마라 상마 대화 고사다 잖아 상메 락바 껴는가 대화 고사잖아노 살아 아니 저랑은 동알 고사다 지왔다나 만나 동알 고사메잖아노 어때 집에노 살아 와 소마장 대화 독단다 동알 미도가 시장노 살아.
Even if Geshe will ask any of you, so what do you seek in your life? You might say you seek different material value, but ultimately you are seeking happiness. Ultimately you are seeking happiness. And if Geshe asks if Geshe asks if you want to get rid of anything, you would say, I want to get rid of this guy, that, but ultimately you are getting rid of suffering. You don't want suffering any sort, in any form. So, to categorize things in more loose sense, we all want happiness, and we want to get rid of the suffering. We want ultimate happiness, not a short-term happiness, but ultimate, the happiness that lasts long.
다 대화 들었나 대화 나다 다서 찔라시 쩌나양 다 접시 쩌나 지 비즈니스 쩌나 총지 쩌나 찌쩌나 미제스키도 용주페 쩌노 살아 쩌노 뭐 이내야 대오 골록데 미제스키도 마던 동안 유제 유에 차디야스 제단 땡가다 탑라 못 노르티야스 사무 땅땅지 노르티야스.
We have definition about happiness. We think like we could be happy having this material value, this car, this your dream job, this dream vacation. You might think that this is the happiness. Yes, this is the happiness in a short term. It could not be able to satisfy your entire life. It get diminished by a certain period. That is not the happiness we are talking about. The happiness that Buddha seeked 2005 years ago. The happiness is that which lasts longer, forever, maybe, perhaps forever. The happiness that we should aspire, everyone ultimately aspire, but we cannot channelize it. However, we cannot. We are ignorant about our happiness. We feel like happiness come from this material value, this car, this life, or this material, any sort of material value, job, your vacation, or something. This is not the happiness we are talking about. We are talking about this long-lasting happiness.
다 대화 중에 거기 조선 오서나 나다 삼모동하서 나다 루다 고사 데모 건데 기아서 카카리 지무지무 사노 알아 대서만 가주 중도 나다 투삼지 살로셔노
we feel like the happiness is about having a good brunch with your loved ones. It's of course happiness. It's a wonderful moment with your loved ones. You feel like you have a wonderful attire. You feel like you have a wonderful place to live in. But would that be your ultimate would that is the ultimate happiness that you're seeking? To question yourself is very important.
당하다 카 루다 군지 고사진도 카사지 카지진도 상마 시간을 되는 중학교야서 somba상 젠도나 삼부당 고서야서 젠게 돈다 젠메 돈다 삼부도 땅나 랑돈 샤를 주비요
the short term happiness, it's a very profound way to look to aspire to reach the ultimate happiness is when you are having a very good attire, having a good lunch, good meal, having a good time. It's all due to service of other beings in the back door. You are entirely dependent on a designer for your nice dress. You are entirely dependent on a chef who is in the kitchen for a good meal. You are dependent on the driver who drove you here. You are dependent on your parents who brought you here. You are dependent on this chair where you can sit. So we are dependent on some way around. We cannot just ignore other which is separate from yourself. We are all connected. We are all dependent on one another.
따때워 되네 다 구주렛 중간에 되네 이게 샨디 대와 로빈 샨디 대와 야가 పండితను 살아 콩찌 숨숨디 약주나 지된 대와 찐이바 대고 샨데 돌레중 지된 동아 찐이바 대고 란데 돌레중 숨디 약스 전다 붙지 못하노지나 지된나 대와 찌 좋아 좋아나 옌 대와 되발레 좋아노 지된 동아 찐이바 대고 란데 돌레중잖아 랑 동아리 좋나 랑 찌버데 진진 디가 다 동아 좋아져 제단 랑 찌버데 진진 디가 도 도르테 옌 찌버데 진진 좋나 되는 다 운에 미지ski 또 이당 아미제 저게 돈한테 봐 용 투아노
So in our tradition to achieve for the long-lasting happiness, we are working on the short-lived happiness. Where we getting this short-lived happiness? We are getting this short-lived happiness depending on so many people. So many people. I've given you example of your chef, your mother, your sister. It's due to them you are here. We are here. I'm due to Geshe. I'm here. Geshe is here due to all of you. So we are all interdependent on one another. So others beneficial. Other person's benefits is also a benefit for yourself. So for that point, Geshe has mentioned a quote, a verse from this text called Bodhicharya Avatara. It's called the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, composed by your very own a great Indian scholar. He's actually a Gujarati. His name is Shantideva. He's the 8th century in Nalanda Pandita. He's a Buddhist scholar. He has done extensively work on developing this other cherishing mind, the mind which cherish others more than oneself. So he has wrote this beautiful text which Geshe himself has studied that text for extensively, very more than 20 years of his life. This book called Bodhicharya Avatara, where he quote this verse that all the happiness in this world, and the causes of happiness in this world comes from wishing others to be happy. All the happiness and the cause for yourself, happiness for yourself, all the happiness in this world, the cause in this world for happiness comes from wishing others to be happy. And all the suffering in this world, the cause of suffering for yourself, suffering, comes from wishing oneself to be happy. So this is a very beautiful verse that Shanti Deva, Acharya Bodhisattva Shanti Deva of Nalanda University in 8th century. Now it's ruined due to some mishap in the history. But his legacy of this teaching that Geshe quote, that the mind which cherish others. So due to interdependentness, due to we are dependent on one another, we should develop this other cherishing mind.
송바상 땅 하다 지죠. 그러나 하다 지지기나 라스 지죠나양 젠레 때는 하다 중고서 야스. 로 젠레 때는 마테나 하다 라스 지지나 갤레 지지만 메티야. 송바상 젠체 버テ비 진진데 랑리강 젠 각제제데 자와 지죠나양 젠라 판도 주지스 비앙하다 자와지 죠나 Tene rang tene chike mi yong che sang tam nyen ta yong che sang rang phanto ma yong che sang rang mi se dina mi rang mi se wo yan la phanto da deme kune mi se kyal tu che sang dewe jate rang la chike thato chon mi ma phel che sang rang tong se ting nyang rang ming bo chan nyen rak bo mane yurung bu lu che sang te sam zamuli nan tak sang ta tak che che sang zang jo ton mi ke kera chem ba ma ka zo Jentun duba la teni yong kanji mato rangdun jibu dukani ji mane kera chama ji chani mane nuas somasang jentun duba de kera chaji ji mato rangdun du de kera chaji da phanto dukani ji mane nuas zamulina somasang teo somasang ngatang ta lobjung yuna da sonji gebna da ji jojan yang rang jibo me manba ara janme san janma phanto du samboji khoji jona tene rang ton dako jalo duktu bano Teo samo kuna tene ram mijes ki do yong cheta ram thato chon mi ma yong cheta ram mi de ton de ba yong cheta tantan yong tu ba kyas.
It is very evident for us to have this other cherishing mind. How that other cherishing mind benefit others, because we cherishing others. But it's very evident that it helps oneself to be very happy. That is what we meant when we said the ultimate happiness. That is the ultimate happiness that we have when we cherish others. When we cherish other, it brings you a joy in your heart. That is the joy that lives with you forever. For example, no accounts of a person who lived for oneself and we are remembering him now who lived in the past, but we remember those beings who have lived for others, who have worked for others. So it's very evident. Even when the person is alive, he had been honored with genuine heart. He had been welcomed with genuine heart. So this is what we seek for when we talk about the ultimate happiness. When we have this other cherishing mind instead of self-cherishing mind. Other cherishing mind being putting the others before yourself. So that brings the joy. That is the ultimate happiness that we are talking about. That happiness we should aspire to have. So other cherishing mind benefit us in any way around. It's a win-win situation for all of us.
Tateo dini ngatok nga tene Gandhi juga te asumpen sala Gandhi ji se te kene lamton ji thongdo uzana Gandhi ji se mitse na khora lo tang jeme to ta samo tang te tene jagare mimang sae gya to tukju ji raon kyo tu no de ma ja khora tong de lo mangbo son de batang khong chen ni ra gesen chat yas dang the international na tene khong chi ge jak dang khong tong ja ga jak zi no sala de sama kazu yong yak Jendun druba de yong tong do khora ton da druba yong jes khora met yas so ma dang atang changme rang ji pe manba dro jenme phandok se duje se bia samu khur de chona rang to de jalo du to te pe chon chi no sala.
Earlier today, we went to this Sabarmati ashram where Gandhiji has this. He stayed there. He had done most of his works at that ashram. We have been we visited them for the first time. So it's very evident for us that Gandhiji, who spent his entire life, work for others. We remember him because he has committed his entire life for the well-beings of others, especially the Indian, but he now it's internationally he is an international idol for so many people. Even His Holiness Dalai Lama himself, he is an idol for himself. That's the evidence we have. He lived for others. He never thought of oneself, himself. He used to weave for his own clothes. He never thought about himself very much as compared to what he have thought about the others. That's the thing that he left us. That's why we are remembering him all the time, even though he has left us quite more than 70 years. He's no. I have no idea how he has been looked like. Rather, you might have, some of you might have, but the legacy is still here because he has committed his life for the others instead of himself.
tene khonte sungde duk chezana nge nga mixer le lapcha gyap che chang met hala nge mixer na chawa chi jote u khina to se te duk sa ton ta ko chi jam khong mixer na chi jak jentun jote a khong pe chi ge samba ki to on che dang khong pe mixer don na de ba skal tu kya sa o tena zo nga dang chame ta ji duram ni sa chi pe na tanung pa chi thuji yarge sonde jamuni sama thani bo sonde kya somada jigdan chige tene somada nga dang chame jentun samo ko de chawa chuna jamuli mo khana shide yong chi dang nga dang chama chi de chi makru muge mera mise don na de ba kya tu che chawo
His life, the Gandhiji's life has committed, like he committed his life for other beings. We should also dedicate our lives, a part of our lives, for the well-beings of others, because we are all dependent on one another. We cannot survive without a person who is working this electricity in this far office. We cannot survive without him in a way. So we should also consider every sentient beings in our prayers. We should always think about other beings.
tak zum tangi nispa che dana ngata te mi ji zo se na tene kangal ji thonje ko rangjini no so ta kangal ji thong zane te kangal la donglen ka ju chun te ko le so shu.
So next point, he would talk about the adversaries that we have to embrace. The adversary we has as a human being, we are subjected to sufferings. So how to handle that? How to embrace that? How to have a solution out of that? He'll be teaching us.
tate unga chige pena ngana shesan ju gi ming ju me thala somada khora chige Malaysia ne no hala sombasang khwa ta chige koi di koi 19 ni sha te tene pe chung ngor khram ma chupo ro sungula tene koi 19 news pe sombasang tene ko pe dollar billion guji ko business down song kya spanish loss song kya sala song te dane tene khorang nge tem pe ngene lo main sala tene ko ze nya jinga phone labs ngisira nga ta mize keochima chajin ala je nga phone labs te ge ji bi nga zu ta nga zu thong nge business samo lo song ta nga mane mi che gi chene ka nga thong du soma nga mane ta chi ge nga rang si gya ba zen zu zera sala.
He will cover this topic by sharing a story of his friend, his student from a Malaysian guy. He's very rich in terms of, he's a businessman himself. But one day he reached Geshe and said, Geshe, I'm ending my life because I have this huge loss in his venture, his business. $9 billion, some sort of $1 billion of loss he had due to COVID situation, and so many problems he has to face. So he reached Geshe that he's ending his life.
ta kyurang shi se pandok chi kya sala kyurang shi se kyurang kangal botene sel tu ches tang kyurang tan botige kyurang thatugu kyurang trokshi ba teguna ma kangal thongche no sala sombasan kyurang ta tu kangal thongzane ta pa kangal bot kazu selen donglen kazu chon te samotang so sel pen singe tene khuwa te ga nanma ta tam ji los cha ma ta tene ko los cha ha go chi tang kona business panar gune yang 불론이 약대 불론 삼아 경험세 강알가 강알 통도 다때 통전에 그 강알 세트 주면 땅 아마 지게가 땅은 포제도 삼대 두시 셈 좆마투라 되는 그 시체세 트라이 주스노 아 땡에 때와 땡고 강알 동네 주당 고랑에 랍자 땅스펜 랍자 땅 하지당 되는 그 시체세 땡이 로도 경량
So Geshe responded him that okay, you can go ahead, but please take all the problems with you. Would that be possible for you to take the whole problem and just not hand over this problem to your near and dears or your wife or your child? You can just please take it with you. Would that be possible? He said. And that provoked him, that he said that he cannot just hand over these problems to his parents, his wife, his beside the loss of himself. You're also handing over these problems, the losses you had, because with the losses of COVID situation, he was again, what do we call, asked for the money he had lended from his friends. So in so much amount, the coincidence is that they both asked at the same time. So it's a huge burden for himself. So he in no way he could redeem this in single moment. So he thought he could end his life, and he reached out Geshe, but Geshe has said, if you cannot just hand over your situation, all this problem to your wife and your children and your parents, your near dear ones, beside your loss, you cannot just hand over this problem and situation to redeem yourself just like that. So this is not the solution. Gave what Geshe said. And Geshe, what he did is he talked to the other guy and asked for some times, and they eventually got settled. Eventually the whole problem got solved, because there is a solution for that. So there, when there is a solution, there is no point of thinking to such extreme.
Tene ko business ko nga sera tanga machine tene nge business banar bre thor police ser sa to thore nge khamba ka police yon nga zuma yon no tenge chi cho sera sala te zane nge se tene ko business banar bo nge nguna ko nya bo chusha yon sala somazan kyurang ma jig nge kyuna business banar bo nge message tang se kyuna kangal bo se se pe nge ko de jewa chu na la ko nge lapcha tan te ko lapcha sa te ko te chi chana kyuna kangal sel tu no jig ni kyuna tene te ko pulon sel je tang kyuna chung jige lo shagan sama yang kyuna cho tu je kyuna chung 남균이 두균이 교나 총바 전부주노 때문에 교나 총다 냠뇽이 야 프랙티스 야 소마당 데오 교나 심축 마차가 심축 벨때 교나 쩌나 단단 교나 강을 셀투가 중에 셀 살아 데링이 코나 비즈니스 파트너 고 WhatsApp 넘버 요게 고 메시지 트랜스페나라 교랑 비즈니스 파트너 지기 녹대 비즈니스 파트너 지기 남시 강을 통전에 라 로바 강을 통전에 강을가 강을 마땅아 딱코 강을 통데 땅에 고 록스다 마땅 마투나 내가 코 때 그런 마소라 내가 코 강을 가서 셀트 록 조조 막 하자네 록 소마자 교나 이둑 마죠 교나 강을 거의 셀투바노 이나 고 요고 땅 마투나 니 강을 서징이 켈때 촌 니가 와 데세레 교나 코 पुलिस मातांग तेगे मेसेज ट्रांसफर मेसेज पर लान मालो पा इने लान माले पा इने या कोई पुलिस मातांग
So that situation got very to some extreme, that he called police and he extorted money. But Geshe, as he's also connected to Geshe, the other person, Geshe talked to him and asked for some times, but he never replied to Geshe, but he didn't ask for the money. So that thing got settled, and Geshe advised him, the friend who is trying to end his life, that either you can redeem yourself or not, but either there's a chance that you could build more courage to even more do better. This is another chance that you want to take. This is the chance you're looking for. That could be happening. But it did actually. It actually did. He returned all his other money. He overcome his losses due to COVID situation. So due to the adversities he had, he developed this immense courage that he has been introduced for the first time. He said to Geshe-la that the courage he developed he never experienced such courage before this situation. He is now more courageous to carry on any sort of ventures.
Tewa tene shen tene tewa tene shendi dewe chi sun tiyakdana kate chosu yonane tele miga chi depends kate chosu menane tele miga chi depends ala sudan kate ngata thalwam tewu kangal ji seje thalwam yonna te miga chogo shime thalwam seje te jok thalwam chogo suno sala kate chosu man thalwam man choji thak choji menna te miga se maga chi phanto me tia sumasan tewu son tewu ngata lapchama sangpo jino sumasan kyurang una namji kangal thongzane kangala dhonglen chote semchuk macha semchuk talung pelte 조지스 보면 하잖아요. 소 강한 제가 수제 통하고 강한 통장에 가서 사무당 거잖아. 랑의 강한 첨부 맛이야. 랑아상 강한 때선 체육관이나 때 빼라데 때 저런 당 강한 충도 삼버지. 베네미가 제약 미세 강배나 말이 진 개인이나 그 크지 죽대서 하는 야. 결혼을 비즈니스 로스잖아. 고때 미지나 크지 개인을 죽대 마소스 켜봐서. 때고는 강한 통하지다 랑 강한 춘 차노. 지당 강한 랑 강한 통관에서 때선 강한 체제 빼대고서 대 강한 보통하지다 랑 강한 춘바 동네 쪽 두번하고 대수고 강다 타론 사모탄데 강한 동네 쪽으로 마도 강한가 랑 셈에 양 강한 태베서도 있잖아 되네 셈아 이게 라시 갭제상 셈아 뇽바 차제상 미 뇽바 차제상 라시 갭서 또 요한 소마장 대웅하다 야가나 망보였던 지겹으로 떼서 나야 제잖아 대우 나다 셈이나 사모탄탄다 마디가 사모탄다 마시자 타블람보 그 가다 강한 동네 쪽 마도에 같은 요한로 소마장하다 강한 동네 쪽도 막 하잖아요.
To develop this courage while we are in the lowest phase of our life, Geshe-la also again quote this beautiful verse from this same text, Bodhicharya Avatara, Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, authored by Shantideva of Gujarat, Nalanda Pandita scholar. He said in this patience chapter, in the text, that if there is a problem in your life and this problem has a solution somehow, even though it could be a hard solution, you cannot achieve this solution very easily, it could be very difficult, the way could be difficult, but if there is a solution, there's no point of stress out, no point of being upset, because there's a solution ultimately. You go work for that solution and your problem will be solved. But if there's a problem and there's no solution whatsoever, whatever you do, for example, if you lost someone who is very near to you, you cannot bring back him to life. There's no solution for that. So there's no point of being stressed or being upset. He cannot come away. He cannot just come return to us when we mourn about his. We cannot, if there is no solution whatsoever for that particular problem, there's no point of being upset or depressed, because whatever we do, whatever energy we put onto, there's no way we could solve this problem. So this verse is a very profound verse that Geshe-la quote, and we are very lucky to be able to listen to this verse from him. That any problem, if there's a solution, there's no point of worry, because there's a solution. You just strive for it. And if there's a problem, that problem has no solution whatsoever, from our capacity, you cannot achieve that, fulfill that problem. There's no point of being upset. You just whatever you do, you cannot redeem that problem. So don't be stressed. So be happy, be relaxed all the time is what this verse has to say.
당에 때워 강할 동을 제빼 대무 시야 인살라 빼는 미지 교란 키족 두세나 한다 소용 봐서라 오늘 사무 당시에서 소용 거 상매 뛰어서 키족 두는 키만 간라 가다 미인 간라 때워 저배 지게 사무 당시에나 그 키두세나 퀘세나 가다 키니 규체면 뛰어서 와 때마지 양상디 대빼 대무 지몰디야 미시게 베르가 쿠디 미제 직 두나 베르가 두땅나 가다 미워 베르가 둥갈 베르가 쿠디 땅갈 미워 소용 봐서 이나한테 베르가데 소용어는 소용만 봐. 집에서나 베르가 그 유쇼스노 오세나 그 베르주 땅도로 꽉 베르가 카메 뛰어서나 내 미왕하다 소용세 메티아. 집에서나 미워 콘도 장원도 규대 쌤 안배 장원도 규대 가다 그 도둑 단계스 소마다 당하다 송을 미대 송을 제 비capte 그 콘도데 송고 콘도데 가다 zum 대와 동제식 미디야 와 대마사 되는 가다 케잉와 무슨 니스탕스랑 가다 뭐 지당 투나야 나나 폭간보 강아도 세트지 미디야 과스 그래서 우뚝삼사데 나나 강아 세제세 탑람보 간다 두삼망보 삽지망 보기야스
a small experimental experiment based philosophy that Shantideva also has to offer in this profound book is when a person says a very curse on you, maybe you call him a dog or call him whatever very unpleasant to you, there's no point of being responding back to that person on that same level, because you're not a dog. If he said so, if he say whatever, you're not that, that. There's no point of just manifesting yourself. It's very, very ignorant for us to manifest ourselves as a dog, right? That would be encouraging him more. Rather, we should recall ourselves that we are not dog. He is just might not be in a well state. For example, also in the Bodhisattva